everybody, and welcome to another Agile IT Tech Talk. I'm your host, Sean Spicer, and today I'm joined by Jesse Dewald. And while his job title may be Cloud Solutions Engineer, around here we just pretty much call him our SharePoint guru. So today we're going to take a look at the SharePoint Look Book and how you can have a professional SharePoint site set up in minutes. And then Jesse's going to walk through how to customize and brand your site to match your company image and some of the extra cool things you can do. How are you doing today, Jesse?
Doing great, John. How about yourself?
Doing well. Thank you very much for joining me. I have seen your calendar. I know how busy you are. But before we get started, I want to encourage everybody, whether you're live in this session or finding this on our YouTube channel, to take a look at our Clearly Cloud podcast. It's up on YouTube. It's out there on iTunes, Google Play, everywhere else. The podcast was an opportunity for us to get really high-level strategic and pull in some of the smartest people in the world who are making things happen in the cloud. We've had construction futurists, lawyers, a director of the FBI, founder of one of the most popular robotics companies in the world, and next week we have one of the creators of BRC VR who created the virtual reality version of Burning Man and subsequently created the biggest VR event in history. This is definitely going to be worth a listen. So as a reminder, Tech Talks are a service for Agile IT's MSP and CSP clients who get to join us live each week and are able to engage in an open Q&A session after our demos. If you're watching online on YouTube or reading along on our blog, feel free to leave comments down at the comments section below. I'm happy to answer questions. Give us a like and follow, and let's get started. So SharePoint powers a new generation of intelligent content and communication experiences. Now, I want to be honest with you. I've been using SharePoint since its inception, and it was kind of a turd when it first came out. And I still hear people thinking about the old SharePoint servers. And it's a lot different now. SharePoint Online is so much more than the old SharePoint was. And today's SharePoint Online, or modern SharePoint as it's sometimes called, is an incredible way to organize information, collaboration, and respond to the way we work today. A lot of us disregarded SharePoint because of what it once was, but today we're really going to show off what's possible. Some of the potential includes adding enterprise search, company navigation and dynamic hubs, and creating collaboration groups for every team. And it's super simple for any user to quickly create sites and pages that work and look great on every device. So, as we've seen this year, the modern workplace is constantly changing and everything going on with cloud adoption. People are working from home and they've fundamentally changed the way we work. Yet we find ourselves struggling with productivity engagement and collaboration. And a statistic I talked about last week is that the average employee spends 9 hours a week looking for files. And that's why we need digital tools to support our employees, to connect with our team members, no matter where they are or what device they're using or what teams they're in. So SharePoint Online is responsive by default. If you've never been involved in web design, what responsive means is that users on desktops, laptops, tablets, and phones all receive a common experience no matter how they're accessing SharePoint. It means you only have to design once in SharePoint, and it intelligently reformats your content for however your employees engage with it. Branding is incredibly important. Having a cohesive look and feel throughout your entire environment not only instills your team members with a sense of professionalism, but when these sites are used to provide services to your clients, you can relax knowing that they're getting the best experience possible. Plus, you don't have to deal with angry marketing managers like me screaming about the font or color being wrong. And it's incredibly simple to customize and make work right. Another useful thing about SharePoint are news sites. And Jesse's going to get into the various things that can be added to a SharePoint site in a little bit, but you can use RSS feeds, Twitter streams, link to videos, embed videos from Microsoft Stream, or just about any other content you can think of. Not only does this keep your teams informed, you can also provide a place for conversations. And you can share these news sites in a Microsoft Teams channel and continue the conversation there. Your employees get the benefits of staying informed and staying connected, and you can also get the benefits of understanding the impact and engagement that your posts generate. Home sites are great. This is really where the organization starts its day. It can be a landing page for your organization that brings together news, conversations, other content, and it delivers a customized experience that reflects your company's voice, priorities, and brand. Now, home sites connect your teams with enterprise search and navigation, delivering a highly personalized experience that can be made even richer with AI. Every employee can connect with the information and activities they need across all of their devices. Team sites are great. We talked about this a little bit in our tech talk about compliance and teams, but it's important to understand that every Office 365 group and every group in Microsoft Teams is backed by a SharePoint team site that empowers your employees to work together with shared files, news, and data, as well as security and compliance protections. You can also customize this team site with content information, applications that your team members need every day, and you can share that with people both inside and outside your organization. And you can collaborate from a web browser or directly from Microsoft Teams. Communications, we know this is important. We've talked about the way that people can collaborate and how they share news and what's different about the way we're working differently today. And what's great about SharePoint communication sites is they're perfect for shared applications and internal services. Organizing internal events, product launches, creating internal communities, and cross-company campaigns. Each page is rich and, like I mentioned, dynamic and allows any user to communicate with compelling content, images, text, video, files, and a huge catalog of web parts that integrate content from across Microsoft 365 and the web. Hub sites are best thought of as the old school company intranet and an internal organization, but this is so far beyond the normal old ideas of company intranet. Through a hub site, you can connect related sites to create a dynamic experience that rolls up activity from each associated site, be those sites for your marketing team, your sales team, delivery, engineering. Team hubs drive consistency with shared branding and navigation, and you get the added benefit of being able to search information across all of these independent sites. And because you can reassociate sites with any hub, you can quickly adapt your internet to any changes that happen in your organization. And we all know how important adaptability has been this year. So what Jesse is going to show us here in a minute is the SharePoint Look Book, which is a huge catalog of ready-made modern SharePoint sites that can be installed in just a couple of minutes. If you want to try this out for your organization, you can check it out at lookbook.microsoft.com. So, you ready to get started, Jesse?
Absolutely, John.
Awesome. Let me go ahead and make you presenter here. And the stage is yours, sir.
All right. There we go. You can see me okay there, Sean?
Absolutely.
All right. So when you first navigate to the site, as you can see, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's pretty straightforward. Basically saying, let's get inspired. Let's show you, what your site can look like. If you did put in all these hours that these developers actually put in, your site can look something like this. And let me go ahead and open that up here so you can kind of see some of these examples that they show. As you can see, they do categorize it in a couple different departments here. So they've got an organization-wide. So this is more maybe, for new employees or just your main intranet, how those might look. You can switch it to departments. So if you wanted to do specific departments, they have some templates here created for you based on that as well. And you can also do team sites. And these are actually the sites that sit behind, if you are familiar with utilizing Teams, these are actually the sites that will sit behind that actual chat box and, the application itself. But I mean, the list kind of goes on and on as to what you can do here. I've actually deployed a couple of these already that are ready-made. If you see one that you like, for instance, I'm going to go ahead and do the landing. What this page is designed to do, it's essentially designed to be your company landing page. So when your new employees or just your employees in general log into SharePoint, this would be the first page that they actually land on. And as you can see here on the right, it's utilized to show company news throughout the organization. It's used to kind of show some inward conversations here with, maybe something that the leadership teams might be speaking about. It also has links to some of these social groups, benefits, programs, mentorships, charities, and that kind of thing. So you can definitely see how they've laid this out. And I know this can kind of look a little overwhelming for somebody who's not super used to SharePoint. But as I show you the method of actually deploying this, it's going to become a lot less overwhelming and overbearing. The really cool thing, though, even before you deploy this, is if you click on this drop-down menu here, it actually tells you everything that is deployed on this site, including web parts, contents, and site features. If you wanted to know what these particular things are, you simply click on them. It'll take you to an educational site to kind of teach you a little something about what these are. So, for instance, the first thing that it does is it applies a custom company theme, and it takes you through exactly what to do when you get to that site and how to actually change that theme. And I'll be walking you through that as well. So, as I said, I've already deployed this in the demo environment, but I'm going to go ahead and walk you through the process of that. So you see what you like, you want to add it, you just hit add to tenant. It's going to open up this new window. If you are defaulted and already added and logged into your tenant, which most of us usually are, it's going to go ahead and use your login name. It's going to automatically populate there. It'll ask you what you want to name the site. By default, it's going to name it what it wants to by, the landing. Again, this site's already created, so I'm not going to go ahead and create this again. But once you're done, actually, I'm going to go ahead and actually do that here. Why not? Oh, and it doesn't like that because there's a space, but there we go. Mm-hmm. All right, you just go ahead and hit provision. Certain sites take longer than others, and it'll actually give you, I'm not sure if you see that pop-up window, but it'll actually give you and let you know what it's going to deploy before it deploys it. So it tells you the elements, a couple news articles with example content, some sample images, that kind of thing. And it'll tell you exactly how long it'll take to deploy. So in this case, it says 5 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and hit confirm.
I do like that warning. Don't go to the site until it's provisioned, because you can break the provisioning if you go to it before it says it's done. And Jesse, what kind of users are able to use this?
Admin users would need to be able to deploy this, or SharePoint admin. So if you have a specific role for just your SharePoint admin, they should be able to deploy these as well.
Great.
All right. So once that's all deployed, it's going to actually look like this. And as you can see, the color is a little different because I have ADD and I went in here and changed some stuff already. It actually by default deployed as a green label at the top here. And how I change that is I go to this gear, then I went to change the look, and I selected theme, and I went ahead and just selected blue here and changed that just because I prefer blue for this page. What I also did, by default, it had this navigation here. And what this does, since this is a communication site that is deployed, it actually will have this at the top here. And what this enables you to do is add navigational links. So right now, these are just labels that they added. They don't do anything. They're not clickable, which is why, it's just a template essentially. But if you wanted to go in here, use the same template to change some things and link it to other sites, you can change this from a label to a link. You can change what's displayed there. And if it was a link, it's just like it sounds. You can either have this go to an outside website, or you can have this go to another website with, internally, which is mostly what people utilize this for. You go ahead and just paste that in here, hit OK, and then hit save. But Again, since this is basically a template, just kind of showing you a little bit of what this can do. And I can click on some of these. Some of these are just blank when you click on them, because again, this is more of a demo. But if you were deploying this in a live environment and you were to click on this, this is what's called a news web part. And essentially what this is this creates pages for people to display. Maybe they went to a conference, they want to tell you about it. In this particular example, it's just talking to you about product growth and engagement. But how you would actually edit that and get this to your custom company branding would be this button here in the top right. Again, you must be a SharePoint admin, or your SharePoint admin must have this enabled for users to be able to utilize this. You just go ahead and click on this. You're going to see a couple different icons here. On the left-hand side, you'll see this plus button. This will actually enable you to add a new section. You do get selections for that. If I clicked on that, you can see it's going to add this particular section here. I actually don't want to do that, though. I'm going to go ahead and delete that. I just wanted to show that as an example. But as you can see, there's sections already created. This is a section that's been created. And as you can see, there's a couple different things in this session. There's in particular 2 web parts. This particular web part is a news web part. And when you click on this pencil here, you can actually edit it. It pulls up this window here, slides out. You get a couple options when utilizing these web parts. You can select news sources from the site. You can select them from all sites in the hub. I have actually created this site and made this a hub site, which I'll show you in a second. Or you can use select sites. So if you wanted to select just particular sites in your environment to pull from, you could do that as well. And that would be how you kind of customize these templates. So essentially what you would be doing is creating, multiple sites, maybe for different reasons. Maybe you have a site specifically dedicated to news, which I have already created as well through the Look Book. Then you would go ahead and maybe just select that one site, and that's the only site that it's going to pull from. We do have it set up as carousel, which is why you see this moving around. It cycles at news. And that's just an example of that one particular web part here. Right below that, you do see another web part. I believe this is a news web part as well. So it looks different because they chose a different layout for this. And as you can see, it looks pretty visually compelling. It's pulling the same actual information that's on the carousel here. So that's just one example of how you can kind of, put that information in there and make it look pretty cool. And when you're done, you just go ahead and republish. And then I actually republish what you've done here. There are many, many different web parts here. I'm going to go back into edit to kind of show you. And again, this was all displayed before I went ahead and deployed this. It told you exactly what web parts were going to be deployed. And this is kind of how you can see that. So this web part here is a quick link web part. This can be used for multiple different things. It can be used for adding web links to external, adding web links internally, adding links to videos on stream, which is pretty much what they did here. And as you can see, there's a running theme here with everything that you add in SharePoint. It's always got these same options on the left-hand side. It's got the edit, it's got the move, it's got the duplicate, and it's got the delete. This also goes into these individual web parts. So within the web part itself, there's also editing that you can do. So in this particular instance, since this is, not really linked to anything here, it's just linked to the landing demo site. They went ahead and added a custom image here, and then they just put a video image. But realistically, if you wanted to link this to a video, you would just change this and you would link it to a stream video or maybe a YouTube video or anything like that. And that's mostly how you would go about customizing this for yourself and rearranging this template to work for you. Is you just click on each of these web parts, you go through, click the edit, you see what it actually is doing, and you decide if maybe you even want to get rid of this web part, like maybe you don't want conversations, you can go ahead and delete that, and then it's gone. It's no longer there for you. All right. So that's basically what the communication site will look like if you were to choose that landing demo site. Now, I did actually create this and turn this into a hub site. And as you can see, what happens when you turn it into a hub site, you get this second navigational bar up top here. I've deployed 2 other sites from the Look Book, which I'll walk through as well. And I went ahead and I clicked Add Link here, and I went ahead and linked them so that it actually will show up even when I go to these other sites. So the first site that I actually linked to is this new site here. I went ahead and I said, hey, I like how this looks. I added this site to my tenant as well. I then went into the SharePoint Admin Center, found that site, Contoso News Demo, found this site. I went ahead and went bulk edit, hub association, and associated it to the landing demo hub site, which I created previously. And what this does, it actually should, and this is a demo site, so bear with me here, but what it will actually do is take the theme of that hub site and apply it to every site in the hub. Since this is a demo site, it seems like it's just not wanting to cooperate with that particular part of it. But what it does do is it adds this navigational bar. So if you wanted a navigational bar for your entire organization or for your entire people in the hub, you'd go ahead and set up this bar here like I did. And every site attached to the hub will automatically get this. So they can click back to the landing page if they wanted to from this site. It'll pull that right back up, or any other site that's attached to this hub here.
Oh, that's great.
But as you can see, it's really awesome the way that you can do that. And if you wanted to get even more granular, you can. You can even, for instance, if, for instance, you wanted that to be maybe the top layer and you wanted to add another link here, like let's just say google.com. And you wanted that to make that a drop down, you would create that link and then drag it into, for instance, support demo, hit save, and you can see it's going to go ahead and get that drop down menu. Now, what I like to do, because for some reason it likes to make that first one you put in there in bold. So what I actually like to do is create one that is a label, and you could name this as like quick links. And then you actually can drag and drop this link into that, and you hit save here. And then you can see that it looks a little cleaner. You can't click on quick links, but you can go ahead and click on this link here for Google. So if you wanted to like label them, like for instance, HR right here, and then you put all the HR sites or subsites you have underneath, this is a really good way to kind of arrange those hub site links. And a lot of things are drag and drop. So don't be scared to just grab things and move them around. You can always move them back. It's not the end of the world here. So an example of that would be, we've got this web part here. Say, I'm like, hey, I don't want this here anymore. I want to move this. I'm going to move this. Let's go ahead and move this down here, just one web part down. It'll actually replace this one, move this web part up, and kind of rearrange that site for you. So real simple stuff. It didn't want to work for me in that time. There we go. So real simple. They make it as intuitive as possible, to kind of work with it. And the cool thing is you don't really have to be scared of messing anything up, because if you did, you can always hit undo up here. You can do discard changes if you totally messed up your page and wanted to revert back to what you had previously. You could do that. You can change page details as well. You can change the thumbnail of the page. You can add a description to it. You can adjust properties. The list kind of goes on and on. You can really get as simple or as deep in the woods as you would like when it comes to adjusting, these SharePoint pages. So this page is actually another communication site, which is why it looks very similar to the previous one. But what I do want to show you as well is what it looks like when you deploy a team site. and how those kind of differ from some of these communication sites that I've been showing you. Communication, again, is more for informational purposes. It's not so much for collaboration. It's more or less like, hey, there's events going on, or there's news in the company, or, here's where you find this type of thing. But what most people utilize SharePoint for, I would say, is collaboration and working with each other. And that actually is done through a team site. So if you go through here and you go to the top here, it has view design. The actual site that I deployed was this product support site. So everybody has product support. So I went ahead and I clicked on that and I went add to your tenant. And once it was done deploying, it looks like this. As you can see, they have a couple links here on the left-hand side, documents here, which is what most people use team sites for. This actually is attached to a team. As you can see, you can sync this to your OneDrive. You can add it to your OneDrive as well. The template for team sites are pretty straightforward as well if you're going to make this from scratch. As you can see, though, they did want to add a couple things to make it a little easier for management and for the people working there to see. If you've ever worked in a tech support shop or you've ever worked in tech support, you know how important it is for this first response time and for you to keep track of what that is and for what these call volumes will actually show you. Obviously, this is either a really good trend, meaning they're getting a lot more customers, so they're getting a lot more calls, or a bad trend, meaning they're messing a lot of stuff up and they need to help a lot of more people out. So depending on where you go with that. But again, same exact thing. You have web parts. You click edit. You can click on edit the web part. This particular web part's a list, and you can go ahead and adjust that. If you did want to add your own web parts, it's as easy as clicking this plus button here, add new web part in column 1. And as you can see, the list of web parts is pretty long, and you can go ahead and click on anything you like in here. It's not going to break anything. If you leave it blank, it will actually not even show up when you republish it. So it's smart like that to know, like maybe you're just setting it up or somebody added something they weren't supposed to on accident. It actually will not show up. Stream videos, though, is one of my favorite web parts. It's just really cool to be able to add all these videos there. And as you can see, you can change the source. They're actually pulling from Olive Stream in their environment here. This is a demo account, so all these videos are, Microsoft videos.
Well,
you could do it on a
second one that was from last week's Tech Talk.
Oh, there you go.
Myself.
Ad hoc Tech Talk. And you can even list them by trending or views or likes or publish date. So you can always have the most up-to-date videos being published, or just, the most popular videos being published. But this is a really cool web part that I always like to add, if we can. In our environment, we haven't really gotten too fancy with it, which kind of disappoints me. I want to get more fancy with our SharePoint internally. But yeah, that's basically it. It's pretty straightforward. There is one other thing I would like to show, though, and this is not for the novice. This is more for the real nerdy guys like myself who want to get in and actually create custom themes with custom flows and that kind of thing straight from scratch, not using the SharePoint Look Book per se. And if you did do a search for this, you would never find it because it's actually not labeled as SharePoint templates. All they'll do is show you the default templates that you'll see. But you'll actually, what it's called is SharePoint Site Design and Site Scripts. And what this will enable you to do, if you are a giant company or you have dedicated personnel for SharePoint who knows how to script and this kind of thing, you can actually have them and put them to work to actually create these simple site designs that will go throughout your SharePoint environment. And anytime you create a site, you can have the option to create it identically to your other site. So you can have a set theme throughout your entire environment. And this can get definitely into the weeds, which is why I'm going pretty fast through it. Don't want to get too far into the weeds here because we did want to show you the easy thing. But this is what I was saying earlier, where you can get as deep in the weeds as you want, or you can get as simple as you want. And if you did want to learn more about SharePoint Look Book, if you go to the site, as Sean was stating, lookbook.microsoft.com, and you go to the bottom here, it actually gives you SharePoint design guidance. And this has everything from beginners to intermediate to advanced instructions on what you can do, how you can create navigations, create custom themes, alter sections and columns within these pages. So again, you can get as simple as you want, downloading these templates and editing them, or if you wanted to go ahead and try your hand at creating these from scratch, this would be a very, very good starting point for you to get into and check out some of these design principles, web parts, and platforms. All right. And with that, Sean, I'll send that back to you.
Great. Thank you very much, Jesse. That was wonderful. And I hadn't heard of this before about 3-4 weeks ago when you were like, I want to show this off. And I've been playing with it in the demo tenants as well. So hopefully I didn't get in your way with any of the stuff that I'd set up.
Not at all.
All right. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. Those of you watching online, like I said, please give us that like and follow, or in the vernacular, smack that like button. I've been watching too many bass player videos. But yeah, you can go ahead and see the recap at agilit.com/news. We do upload our Tech Talks onto YouTube, usually by Friday afternoon. Please stay informed and give us any questions you have down below. As a reminder, we're about to go into that open Q&A session that is just for our clients. But if you do have questions, ask them down below. Everybody stay safe out there, stay kind, and have a great week.